Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in country and in the world. I'm going to move my microphone because I was, you know, I am covered. I have a very white dog, cream, I would say, and every time I even look at it, I get hair stuck to me all over. And I was brushing it off, and I moved the microphone. I nearly knocked my coffee all over the computer and all over the phone. That would have been an interesting day. End of stream very quickly. Okay, so today got a good stream with some very interesting demos. The demos were, oh, I mean, a struggle, shall we say? Because the problem is, I have to do the stuff and set everything up in order to tell you about it. And I had a few little issues, which I'll talk about in a moment. We've got a whole bunch of people here. Boyan's here. Hello, Boyan. He's often on here. And I said, "Oh, someone needs to invent an AI camera filter that can get rid of all the white dog hair off my dark-coloured shirts." I brushed it off. It's a clean shirt, and the hair just sticks to it. I probably need an anti-stat bracelet or something to stop it. Boyan, hello, Boyan Ian et al. From San Carlos, hand pink waving. Hello, Terry. Good for you to join us. A very regular viewer and always here. Ignacy, hello, you're back again. Good to see you here. Tom Sofsebes from Romania. Hello there. We get quite a few people coming from Romania. That's really good to know. Francis says it's a hot spring day in Wilton, UK. I don't believe you. I think it's a warm spring day. That's how I would categorize it. 71 to us is kind of chilly here in Dallas. It was 80 something the other day here. Exceptional for us at the time of year. Yeah, I totally agree. Lewisburg, West Virginia. Hello, JP. Still working hard on Taurus TLS. And we know there's a little bit of an issue if you have C++ Builder only, so not RAD Studio and not Delphi. But if you have C++ Builder, there's an issue with Taurus TLS. It's not JP's fault. It's actually something to do with compiling Delphi.paz units, I think. I've seen the conversation go back and forth. So I get hundreds of emails every day, so I don't always keep up on what's going on, but they are on top of it and trying to do something about it. Hi from Azerbaijan. Wow. Do you know, you are probably, no, I don't think you're the first person, but you're certainly one of the few people to say hi from Azerbaijan. Malcolm, hello, Malcolm. It's super early again, I'm guessing. Doing, doing. Yes, I don't know how you can be so bouncy at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever it is. Greetings from Virginia. Hello, Charles. Good that you're here as well. And Guillermo, or however, I'm sure you said Guillermo, from Orlando, Florida. Oh, lovely. My friend was in Florida the other day, said it was beautiful. And Ignacio says, thanks, Ian. Yes, thank you. Hi, Terry Peterson says, Boyan. Patrick is here as well. Hello, Patrick. Salut, my friend. I hope you're doing well. And David is on the road in Portland, Oregon today. You know, David is the originator of what we do. He is the guy that basically invented developer relations. I mean it really. Before David did his, the people talked about products and things like that, but David really was the one that crystallized what developer relations should be. I've said this a few times and embarrassed him live on streams, but he's retired, semi-retired. He's quite keen to point that out. And I'm just going to close my Mac down, otherwise it's going to start talking to people. He's semi-retired, and yet he's still there. He is on the road to Portland, Oregon, and he's checking in on the stream. So thank you, David. Really means a lot for him, for people like him to support us. And you know what? He comes out with all lots of interesting stuff as well. He often emails me and says, "Hey, you talked about this, and you could mention this." And we're also got some stuff coming up next week about Charlie Calvert, who unfortunately passed away. We just want to mark that. Is very strong proponent of Delphi, Borland employee, and all sorts of things. David I was a very good friend of his, and in fact, it was David that told me about Charlie passing away a while ago. Excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. we try and give a period of time after these things, and also it just happened around about the time that 12.3 was released, and they didn't want to put out a eulogy about Charlie, celebrating his life in the middle of all that 12.3 stuff because it looked wrong. But we are preparing something to release just to, mark his passing. Great guy, really great guy. Every single person said fantastic things about Charlie. He was such a nice guy, really was, and it's a real loss. It's not the only person to have passed away in the last 12-month period who really was one of those contributors to the success of the language. But Charlie was definitely not just that, but everybody kept saying, "Oh, Charlie, it was such a great guy." It's really. I hope when I pass away, someone says the same thing about me. I'm not sure everybody will. 3 ex-wives, all the rest of it. But hi, everyone from British Columbia. Malcolm says it's not super early in where he is. It's only 3 a.m. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Malcolm clearly drinks either way too much caffeine or just doesn't sleep ever. Malcolm, are you sure you're not a vampire? Yes. Hello from Brazil, Landerson. Hello, Landerson. You feature in my slides today, in my demos. By accident, I hasten to add, but you are in my slide. And Boyan says, hello to David I. Yes, excellent. Okay, so today's webinar is a combination of slides, 2 demos, and the demos are videos. And the reason is, actually, I'm going to show some live stuff as well. But the reason I want to show the notifications as a recording is because I'm a busy man, and as you'll see on one of my slides here has got a clip from my social media stuff, and I'm on everything: Telegram, Discord, Discourse, Slack. In fact, we've got Slack messages just come up just then, because that's my job, developer relations. It means I hang out in lots of user groups and things like that, and so it's a bit tricky to do a live demo on your phone if it's your phone that you actually use. And actually, my Android phone is my daily phone. I do have an iPhone as well, but it's just risky. You don't want someone coming up and saying something like, "Hey, Ian, your underwear's ready," or something in a live demo. Oh, that would happen, but you know what I mean. You get it. So part of it's pre-recording, part of it's live. Greetings from Nashville. Woo! You're Van. I think you're probably the first person from Nashville to join us. So that's right. And Vio Boss says hi. Hello, Vio. There we go. Right. So I've got all sorts of things happening, and you know what it's like. And Vic Boss. Oh, I'm sorry. Vic says hi from Spain. Hola, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Lots and lots of developers in Spain. It's one of our bigger regions. Same with Germany. Tons of people in Germany. Brazil is absolutely flooded with developers. And Patrick says, for a live demo, we're all under non-disclosure agreement. Yeah, I think probably best not. I have some stuff going on right now that if the right alert came up, people will go, "Oh my God, really, is that happening to you?" And I'm like, "No, it's cool, it's okay." But you know what it's like. Okay, so let me go over to my slides without further ado, and then like I say, what I'm going to do is show you my slides, stop, play a couple of pre-recorded videos, but also show you the apps as well, so that you know what's going on. My usual caveat to this is that whilst I'm showing my slides, I can't really see the chat. So don't worry if I don't answer your questions. I will do at the end of the presentation, or an appropriate point to stop, because I can't multitask. I've tried it with multiple screens, and it's just as confusing that way as well. But let's start off with just resize everything so I can at least see some stuff and know that I've turned things on and off correctly. Let me just do that now. Right, let's turn my camera off and leave my voice on so you can hear me. Right, to do. Okay, so once again, if you're new to this, and there's enough chance that there are, we're going out to lots and lots of channels again. If you see people hanging out on channels and I'm not streaming to it for some reason, let me know, because um, the only thing that's wrong with this broadcasting software is it can be a little bit flighty about sending out to lots of different events, because we send out to about 11 different channels simultaneously, and they don't always trigger the way they should. I'm not quite sure why. I think it's me, but it could be some of my other team as well, that behind the scenes, like producer Martha, who is often not helping at the moment because I'm just too overwhelming people with work. So there you go. So what are we today is part of our 30 for 30 webinars. Why 30? If you can hide the Ian panel. Yes, good point. Let me do that now. Good point. Well spotted. Participants' names. There you go. Thank you. As ever, Patrick, you are my little stunt driver in the background. The reason is, if I actually don't, I deliberately made my slides so that the links are not covered by that anymore. But I'm sure there'll be something really vital that I'll have covered up. So what's today? Well, it's part of the 30 for 30 webinars. Why 30 webinars? Well, because I'm an idiot and gave myself too much work, but also because it's been 30 years. It's the 30th anniversary, the first release of Delphi. And most of these webinars are appropriate to RAD Studio and C++ Builder as well. And in fact, particularly today, a lot of the code will work with C++ Builder. But we're leaning more towards Delphi in these webinars. We're going to do a C++ series later on, and we've also got some AI stuff coming up very shortly as well, and a few other things. But today's one is about how to enable and add iOS and Android notifications to your app. It's a big subject with lots of moving parts. Who am I? Well, if you don't know, if you're new to us, because people bump into us organically, my name is Ian Barker, and I'm the Embarcadero developer advocate. That means I talk to other developers about what our products do, but I also listen to what you've got to say about our products and maybe about some ideas and things like that. And in fact, I've just realized that slide is wrong where it says 5 p.m. It's 6 p.m. UTC. It's a mistake on my half. I copied a slide. But we're here at the same time every Tuesday and every Friday. You can email me, please do, at ian.barker@embarcadero.com, and I will try and reply. I can't always reply immediately. I'm very, very busy, but that doesn't mean to say I won't reply to you. I will reply to you usually within an hour, usually same day, and if not the next day. I'm not there for technical support. I can't, we've got much better people than me doing technical support. But any sort of general questions and things like that, if you want to talk about development or you got some ideas for the product, let me know. That's what I'm there for. And if you get stuck on something, if there's a problem, you feel like we're not responding, Embarcadero is giving you a cold shoulder accidentally or deliberately, then email me as well, and I'll try and hook you up with the right people. If I don't know the answer, then I will put you in touch with the right people. You can read about who I am at about.me/Ian Barker. And today's slides and the replay of the video will be up on our blog site soon. It's not there at the moment, so this URL will actually go to our products page. But when it's ready, it'll be tinyurl.com/IB30 for 30, my initials, and then 30 for 30, and then mob notify. The reason for that is we're doing one about desktop notifications in a few days' time. So notifications, what are they for? I mean, come on, you must have been living under a rock if you don't know what notification is. And Landerson, I told you you'd feature in my webinar here. By accident, there is a little notification. So Landerson Gomes dos Santos, who is one of our Brazilian MVPs and also is very active in Brazil in our education area. He is a hero of Delphi, and I mean that, a real hero of Delphi. So is Patrick and several others as well, but Landerson really is quite an incredible guy. Got a lot of respect for him, and get on very well with him. But those are the notifications. You're all familiar with them if you've got a phone. So I've got a security camera which pings when someone's out in my backyard or trying to get in through my office window or something like that. Messages from Facebook, like from my sister and my daughter and my wife, weather and all those kind of things. Also, and by the way, when it says connected to Valhalla, that does not mean I'm about to pass away and have a Viking funeral. Valhalla is the name of my server. So you're connected to the Valhalla server. There you go. And you obviously know that the other thing that comes with notifications is the thing that's in the center there. And that is that little number where you see just above Instagram, it says 10. And that just means that there are 10 notifications associated with Instagram. That's called an app badge. The reason that is important, we'll show you later, because you can control those in RAD Studio as well, Delphi and C++ Builder. And also any of those things you see on the right there, you can make those pop up and down within your app with very, very little code. But before we talk about notifications, I just want to give you a word of warning. And Landerson says, it's me. Yes, it is, Landerson. Hello. And Delphi Solutions, hello, everyone in Russia, Irkutsk region. Hello there. And hello to Belkir Begar, who is in Algeria. Fantastic. People from all over the world. Before anybody says anything, I'll make it clear. I always say our only religion is Delphi and our only politics are tabs and spaces. Okay, the world is a horrible place and it's also the most beautiful place in equal measures. And, not taking sides, any argument, I think all wars are horrible and usually innocent people suffer. On either side, the winning or the losing side. They always say that the victors write the history books, but it is what it is. Okay. But anyway, along those lines, slightly liberal kind of viewpoint here is to say that with these notifications, with this great power comes great responsibility. Extra points if you know what that quote is from. And notifications are a useful tool, but they can play an evil role as well. And I recommend that you read a book called The Filter Bubble. It's a bit old now, but actually almost everything that Eli Parisa wrote about has come true. In fact, lots of the election arguments that went on, he predicted and also wrote about and said where social media would have a way in forming public opinion. I think whichever way you want to look at it, I think it's very true to say that social media has been a force for good and a force for bad as well. Influence campaigns have done a lot. And you can do the same notifications. We all know that notifications pop up and they are designed to be addictive. They are designed to hook you in, to make you pay attention to the app because it's a competitive world for your attention. And notifications are part of that armament, shall we say, that app developers have got to try and encourage people to engage with the app. Because if people don't use your app, then they'll stop using it sooner or later, or it'll get uninstalled, or you'll drop down the charts if it's an app store app. It's like the famous quote says is, there's only one thing worse than being talked about, and that is not being talked about. And it's the same thing with these notifications. They may irritate people, but they do remind them that the app is on there and they should engage with it. And if you Pippi Longstocking quote, yes. But it is one of those things where use them wisely. That's all I'm going to say. But a great book. If you're into reading, go to eliparisa.org and writing. Go to his book. It will tell you all about the purpose of notifications, why they're good for you if you're an app developer, but why they might also not be good for you if you're a user. They are a very, very useful tool to make people engage with their app. That's why they're important to us as software developers. So how do local notifications work? There are two types of notification, and it's important to understand what the difference is. So local notifications are still the same thing where that notification appears up. As you can see with the guy with his phone there on the left, the notification has popped up and says, hey, RAD Studio service notification, Delphi 30 for 30. And so the notification has appeared on his mobile phone, a cell phone. Hello, Nigel. Hi, Ian, and all he says. Now, you can do it if you've got a connection between your cell phone app, your mobile app, and the server that you're running. So let's say you're running a server somewhere. It could be a private server, and people have to log in with a very secure way of doing it. But there's a connection between that server and the code that you've written in your app. That is a one-to-one connection, and as long as you set some settings right, which I'll tell you how to do in a moment, your app can show notifications without any form of back-end or broker or anything at all, just your server and your app code. Okay, so it's important to understand you do not need some form of broker in the middle. It's not essential. But the only thing about that is that that's only useful if you've got that kind of connection where your user is logging into your app and then your app is connecting up to the server so it can get the notifications. It is going to need to have a connection maintained if you're doing it that way all the time between your app and the server, or only show the notifications when they connect up. As you're aware, the United States has got private healthcare, and my healthcare provider has got an app that only shows notifications about my health that are not urgent. So something like, hey, something new's happened inside the app, because it's a complicated app. It's got many levels. When I log into that app, it's connecting up to their private healthcare servers. And at that point, it will start to show some notifications saying, hey, you've got some, I don't know, new result or something like that. That is one way of doing notifications. Is not how most people do notifications. Okay, majority do not work like that, but you can make it work like that if you have a permanent connection between your app and the server. It is possible. But how do push notifications work? Well, push notifications are more like what you would expect a notification to work like, in that your app is running, or not even running actually, but it is in the background, and your server connects up and says to this broker, this middleman, so to speak, hey, I need to push out some message either to a specific device or to all devices that are subscribed to my service. For example, it might say it's going to be a tornado in the Dallas area, for example. And Delphi Solutions says, I watch all the streams because I post them on my channel in Telegram with AI translation because the YouTube service is blocked in Russia. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. I want to reach as many people as possible. I explained before about my stance on politics and religion, and I think that's the safest way to be. I want as many people as possible to use Delphi and Object Pascal if they're not using Delphi. So anyway, back to what we were talking about, push notifications. So you might say, for example, oh my word, there's going to be a tornado in Dallas, which happens a lot this time of year. So you want to push out that message from your weather center app that you've got, your server app, and go, warning everybody, there is going to be a tornado in the Dallas area. It will go up to the broker, and we'll talk about what the broker is in a moment. And then everybody who's using your client-side weather app will receive that message if, for example, they're located in Dallas or expressed an interest in the Dallas region. And they will receive that notification, and they'll get that notification whether their app is running or not. Okay, they don't need to ask for it, because in the local setup that I showed you, you have to connect to the server, and then the server can push down the notifications, but it's more like a pull, it's a conversation. But with push notifications, the broker will connect to a background service, which will then have the notification sent whether your app is running or not. If the notification appears and you click on that notification, your app will come to the foreground. It will run, it will enable itself, and then you can respond to it. So I don't know, if it's a tornado warning, then it will give you details of the exact timing of the tornado, what kind of severity it's expected for. I mean, we tend to have things like warning there's an expected tornado outbreak. It's a torcon of 4, which means very likely, and severity could include golf ball sized hail, for example, which would be quite serious. And that's what the broker does. So you're not connecting your app permanently to your server. The advantage of that, right, is that the this kind of scenario is very scalable. If you have local only notifications, you've got to have those connections or some method of connections running in the background that will deal with all those notification permanent connections. With the broker, you don't need to do that. You let someone like Google or Amazon deal with the scalability of it, and they will push out very efficiently to thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions, or possibly over a billion. In the example of Facebook, for example, people with the notifications. It's very efficient. Your server, meanwhile, only pushes the one message out to the broker and says, "Hey, broker, off you go," and the broker does all the work. So very scalable. It's a pain in the neck to set up, but that's why you do it, because it means you're future proofing yourself. If you expect your app is only going to have like 50 users to 100 users or something like that, then probably you can scale it locally. But if there's any chance at all that it's going to get more than that, or you don't want to maintain some permanent connection or infrastructure, then this is the only way to do it: push notifications. Now, the good news is RAD Studio offers a built-in notification capability, and you can find it on the tool palette, and it's a thing called a T notification center. Now, the easiest component orientated way of doing it is to literally drop that component on your app, and it's a FireMonkey components because it has to work cross-platform, but it will work for Android, iOS, macOS, and Windows. Linux, it's possible to do this kind of thing, but the variety of Linux implementation makes it quite difficult. But for sure, the ones that we support are Android, iOS, macOS, and Windows. What does it support? Well, by default, and this would be the thing that you would use for your local and your push notifications from the broker. Oh, and there's, just as I was talking about thunderstorms, I've just had a big clap of thunder literally shake the building. Interesting. So notification center, there's if you go to the help, the online help wiki .wiki, and look at for notification center, it will tell you what it can and can't do, because not all platforms are the same. Older versions of Android, and you'd have to have a really old version by now, would probably only support some of the features. Windows, obviously being primarily a desktop operating system, now there's several things it doesn't support, and other things like iOS, they're restricted or different, because that's the rules of the game with those people. But it's very easy to do, very easy to use, and I'm going to show you an example of that in a moment. Now, what do we mean when we talk about a broker? That's not the actual correct technical term, but it's the easiest way of describing it. Okay, and BaaS, or actually backend as a service, also known as a APNS. It's a automatic push notification system, and that's the terminology that's used on iOS. Android has different terms for it. Windows has different terms for it as well. But basically, what it is it's the glue in between your app and the server, which is also presumably your app, but your server, and the way that you get those notifications out into the hands of people holding mobile phones, cell phones. And you can also potentially have an additional layer with iOS. iOS is a very secure operating system, and I admire it for that, but it can add some levels of complexity, and with Apple, that is very much the case. In both Android and iOS, there are some permissions you need to enable and allow, and also some setup in the background for iOS that you don't have to do with Android. It's a slightly different kettle of fish. For network apps with a direct connection to a server such as RAD server, so you've got your RAD server sitting there and it's pushing down data and all the rest of it, you don't actually need a broker. You can receive messages, and then your service in the background, which is the best way of setting it up, your little app has an attached service to it, that receives the messages from your direct server, and then it uses the notification center to show the notification and pop it up on the person's phone or device, and shows you exactly what you want. So service notification, RAD Studio service notification, Delphi 30 for 30. And what will happen there is where that line says notification.fire date, all that's saying is show it in 8 seconds from now. And that's just so that you can get an idea of how it works. And my video will show this working. Now, doing a direct connection between your server and the mobile devices is not scalable, but that's a decision you make. However, how you show notifications in your app is basically the same. So this principle here with this notification center, virtually the same. But I'm going to show you all of how this works in a moment, both locally and using something called Firebase. So the broker is overcoming that lack of scalability of direct connection between a cell phone and the server. And so the most popular backend as a service system, or what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, service, I suppose, is Google's Firebase. And actually, specifically, a thing called FCM for Firebase Cloud Messaging. Now, Firebase is a little bit more than just mobile messaging. You should make that clear. It does a lot of other things as well. It is a big database, amongst other things, and it does all sorts of things, but we're interested for purpose of notifications in a thing called FCM, Firebase Cloud Messaging. And the weirdest thing about Firebase Cloud Messaging, particularly as it's so absolutely useful, is it's free. I mean, mind-bogglingly, in this day and age, for something that is so useful and so widely used, which may be why it's so widely used, it's actually free. Now, they've got some plans called a Spark plan. This is Google, because Google own Firebase. They also have a pay-as-you-go plan called Blaze. And that's for, things like storing records in their Firebase database, a very big distributed database system, and a few other things as well. You can do all sorts of things, distribute your apps via that, and just analytics and all sorts of wonderful things. But actually, a lot of the stuff to do with Firebase is free. But the most important thing for us when we're talking about notifications is the cloud messaging is always free. So there is nothing you need to worry about using Firebase, as far as I'm aware. Now, caveat to this, because I'm legally required to, otherwise the legal people will come and jump on me, check the details, because you may be watching a replay of this webinar, or you may be viewing this in a country where there's a different web page coming up. So check the details before you rely on what I'm saying here, because it could be that later on, if you're watching a replay now instead of watching this live, and it's always better live, the price might have changed, or some tariff has been introduced with a very of the moment phrase there, or some other reason why FCM is costing money all of a sudden. So do not rely absolutely on what I'm saying when it comes to pricing. Check for yourself, make sure it's what you want. If it is, good luck to you. But don't come back to me and say, hey, you told me it was free, and then we find out it isn't. I have no control over this. It's a third-party service. How do I sign up for FCM? Well, you sign up with Google. And you can think to yourself why these services might be free. Maybe they're just generous to the world, and they believe that this is a better way of making the world better. And it could be as simple as that. But you know what they say, if the service is, if the product is free, then you are the product. And it is possible that there are some things going on in the background, but I do not know that for any, not even a hint. But just look at the terms and conditions of why it's free, and decide whether that's something you're okay with. Okay, if you're using a very secure system, then you can encrypt the messaging. It's actually very secure anyway, but that's where to go. So firebase.google.com, and then if you go there, you can select products and cloud messaging. Be very careful because they do have other services, but FCM or cloud messaging is what you want. Firebase cloud messaging. So FCM and mobile in general. Well, look, I don't know if he's awake yet because it is a ridiculous o'clock where he lives. But I also thoroughly recommend, and in fact, I would say it almost goes as far as saying it's essential to use something called Kastri. Okay, this is by one of our great MVPs called Dave Nottage. He runs Delphi Worlds. And in fact, if you go to that link, you'll see a link to his Delphi World site. I would recommend going there. He has a Slack group that you can join. If you are in any way considering doing mobile development, join this group, because this group is full of people who use RAD Studio to create mobile apps. And there is a lot of knowledge on there, and it's a very well run, very I'm not going to say polite, but it's a very good level of professional conversation with people. They have like a random forum where random stuff gets put in, and occasionally there's a few odd word that is probably not safe for work kind of thing. But overall, it's one of the best known forums that and I'm on hundreds that I know of, and is very, very useful. But Kastri is a set of units and a few components, but mostly just libraries that add every kind of feature you could ever want to your mobile apps, and it's completely free. It's released on the MIT license, and if you've got a bit of spare money, it doesn't matter if it's $1, it doesn't matter if it's £1, it doesn't matter if it's whatever your currency is, euros or something like that. If you can afford it, please consider donating. It's nothing to do with me. I won't get any benefit from this, but it will go towards the people that work on Kastri and help support them. And I invite you to do that for every open source project you do, because a lot of these guys work very long hours for little or no money. And there's enough of you that come and watch my webinars. I know that if a few of you go $5 or $10 or whatever you can afford, if it's helped you out, it's way cheaper than going and buying some library somewhere. And think about that. What it would cost you to go and get a comparable library, and this thing's going to make your mobile apps work. But the same true of Skiff, Delphi, or all the other ones as well out there. A small donation goes a long way. And yes, I do donate to projects as well, and I obviously promote these things as well. So in the demo, a couple of other things I do. I specialize in user interface design. It's one of the things I like to do, as you can see while the slides are laid out in pretty ways. But I think the apps primarily should be functional. They should work, and they should do exactly what they need to do and no more. They should only have controls on there that are absolutely required and no more. And I've said before about watching Objectified, which is a great movie about design, because I'm a design freak. But I also think apps should look beautiful. And the reason is that if your app is looking good and it's graphically attractive, then it goes a long way to creating loyalty amongst your customers and your users. And I think nowadays, one of the biggest benefits of AI, and we can argue about whether AI code help us work well or not. I'm an optimistic skeptic when it comes to AI code generation, but one thing it is very, very good at doing is producing graphics, and it really is very, very effective at producing graphics. You can see on the right there, that is a prompt that I typed in. I said to it, create an image of a Spartan helmet with a red plume sitting on the top of a blue exclamation mark. Now, it didn't really do an exclamation mark, but I kind of get what it was trying to achieve there. And I liked it so much. I'm like, yeah, actually, cool. That is what I will use. And so I downloaded it. I then used the artwork generator built into RAD Studio 12 to take that graphic that I downloaded, scale it up. I had to drag the scaling bit round, and you see the slider there, and it fits in and it produces all the icons and all the splash screens for me. Click, 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 like that, and done. And the other thing I did was I used a tool from Microsoft Power Toys to point at the color, and then it gives me the RGB value because I didn't create the image. The AI created the image, and what I wanted to do was make sure that my app background and my buttons and things like that would have a nice set of controls. Now you'll see on the right of where that cursor is, there's a gradient there as well. So you can click on that and choose complementary colors, and it does all sorts of things. So well, I love the Microsoft Power Toys. I use the clipboard history one, for example, all the time, all day, every day. And they had a bug in it that kept breaking it recently, and they fixed it now. But whoa, my life was so hard for a while. And the AI color picker is sorry, not AI. The color picker is one that I use a lot. If someone says to you, we've got a company logo and we want you to create a theme on our app that matches the company logo, you can do that. You can go on and pick the color in the app with this app tool, and you've got your color scheme, and it will produce complementary colors as well. Fantastic, really, really useful. So let's go and do a demo time. So what I'm going to do is briefly show you. I'm going to go back and stop sharing my screen for a moment and come back to here. Hello, I'm back again. And by the way, lots of people here saying hello, and Landerson was very pleased to see himself. And Goran says my quote was Pippi Longstocking. I think it might have been a Batman quote, actually, but I'm not sure. It could be any of those. And he says, hi, brothers. Hello there. And Delphi Solutions, we already talked about what he was doing. So good. Developers around the world, hello. I'm pleased that you came along. Right, so let me show you a video demonstration. Oh, and Delphi says, oh, I also create my logo using AI. Yes, I do it a lot. So let me first show you a video of a local notifications app and how it works. And then what I will do is I will show you that app and how it works. So it mutes my video, but what you're going to see is I'm going to run the app on the video. I click the button, and then 8 seconds later, it will show the notification inside my mobile phone, my cell phone. The reason it's recorded, I don't want a load of notifications coming up saying things like, you know, my underwear's ready or something. You know what it's like. So that's why I'm doing a pre-recorded video. But this is local notification. So direct from the server to the app, and then the app is showing the notifications. It's not using the Firebase cloud messaging. That's coming next. So what you saw there was me clicking the button the first time, and it immediately doing nothing. It just says done, so you know something happened. And then it goes away and it waits 8 seconds and it shows the notification using the notification center. And then I showed you that it appeared in the app. And then I clicked on the button again and minimized the app. I actually didn't close it, but it took it away, if you see what I mean. Don't know what the technical phrase is for it. And after 8 seconds, you saw that the icon was badged, came up with a badge. And then that means, oh, there's a notification, because that's how it works. And then if I came down to the notification center, clicked on it, it makes the app open up and show the notification. It goes directly into there. So that is how that works. Now, if I go back to my screen sharing again, by the way, those videos have no sound. You're not going crazy. It's got no sound. So here's that app. Okay, and as I told you before, what I did was I used the color picker. So the way that color picker works is if I press Windows Shift and C and do that, then what happens is it will pick whatever colors under the cursor. So you can see it's done that. If I do it again, I can let's pick the red color here. You can see the little preview, and now it picked the red color. So that is how I got that little thing there. This is a rectangle, as you can see there. If I hit F11, you can see that the fill is gradient. And if I double click on the gradient, which is over here, you can see that what I did was I picked the first color, which was the color of the icon here, and then a lighter color, and did a gradient like that. I did a similar thing for the button. There's actually a graphic there. It's an image, and I've just loaded it up with the actual bitmap that came from the AI, and I put that onto the button. So I dropped onto the button. I then put a label on because I wanted the font to look slightly different. Okay, now you can do it on the button by using the button text, but I actually do it on an embedded label because in FireMonkey, each of the components can have child components. You can drop them on, and any control in FireMonkey can be a parent or a child of any other control. And so I've got that in there. I also added a shadow effect, so it's got a beautiful shadow on the outside, which again I used colors from the palette. And then the other thing that's kind of cool is that on the memo control here, I've dropped an image control, which is this image control here. And what I did there was I created another multi-res bitmap, and it is a version of the graphic with grayscale, so that it shows the notifications that are received grayscale. Now, what does the code look like? Well, let me just unpin this for a second. So what happens is when you click on the button, in the background there's a it says, well, what version of the operating system is. If it is version 13, then it will ask for permissions. Okay, and it will say this app wants to send you notifications, and you need to say yes to post notification. Now, as it happens, I've already done that, so it doesn't appear in my demo. And then when everything's correct and it's working, then it goes and there's a procedure to do post rationale and all the rest of it. But once everything's working, then what it does is it starts the service. Now, that's just an Android service, but that is calling, this service here, which is a standard service unit. Okay, it's got the notification center in there. Okay, and all it does is says, oh, well, you've started. I'm going to launch the notification, and remember the code I showed you in the DocWiki example. That's exactly that example. Simple as that. It's not difficult at all. This app is basically specifically an Android app, which is why it looks like that. But you can do the same thing. Now, the other thing that you need to look for is on here, options. There are a couple of things you need to set up for notifications to work full stop. Okay, is this going to come up on the right screen? Yes, it is. Wow. So one thing you do need to do is for apps that are what's the word I'm looking for? Push notifications from Firebase cloud messaging. You need to have that set to say yes, you want to receive the notifications. Okay. There are other permissions as well that you can set, biometrics and all sorts of things like that. The other thing is as well, you need to have a module name here. And this is in the Firebase cloud messaging that matches your package name in here. Needs to match in Firebase cloud messaging, but I'll show you that in a moment. We're using Target SDK 35. Okay, this is the one that in August will be mandatory for you to support. So if you're writing Android apps and you're using an older version of RAD Studio, if you can upgrade to version 12.3, you should do, because it will support Target SDK 35, which is mandatory for August. It's one of those things. Now, the other thing I showed you as well was the artwork generator. It's probably going to show me an error message or something in a moment. Yeah. So the artwork generator, if you've not seen it before, where is it? Do I want to continue? Yes, I do. And you can say image, you can drop an image in and all the rest of it. It creates all of your icons all at once. I love this feature, absolutely love this feature. I think it's fantastic. If I go into here and pick, don't know where the icon is, let me have a look. Oh, I don't think I stored it in here. Hang on just one second. Yeah, okay. I'm not. I haven't stored it where I need to, but basically, you would just pick an icon, a graphic, and it will generate all the artwork for you. Love that. So this is local notifications. The principle is virtually the same. Now, the second demo I'm going to show you, I'm going to go back to not share my screen again, is going to be doing the Firebase cloud messaging version. So what this demo is using Kastri, which is the library I talked to you about before, and using one of their demo apps. And I'm going to show you how that works in a moment. But let me just show you the video. Again, this video has no sound, but you'll get the gist of what's going on so that you can understand. But watch what happens. It's using a tool that is also from Delphi World or Dave Nottage, that allows a thing called Push It. So it allows me to push notifications for testing purposes. So Push It is acting like the server, and it's a blue screen, you can't miss it. Acting like my server app would be. You remember where I said there's a server app, there's the cloud broker in the middle, which is the Firebase cloud messaging, and then your mobile or cell phone apps users are down there. So the Push It app is doing the job of sending up to the Firebase cloud messaging, and then Firebase cloud messaging is sending those messages out to all the connected apps. And that's what I'm going to show you now. So what you saw there was on the left, the blue app is the Push It app, which I'm going to show you in a sec. And then my app, which is actually a demo app, you can download it today. It is available today. I'll give you the link in a moment. The demo app is running on my Android device. That was a live screen from my Android device. And when you push up the app, the message, it goes up to the Firebase Cloud Messaging, FCM, and FCM or Google service then goes and sends it out to all those that are subscribed. So when the app starts, it subscribes up to a channel. It's a bit like XMPP. If you've seen me do Internet of Things before on one of my previous streams, it's the same thing. You subscribe to a channel, and you can say, I'll subscribe to all the channels, or you could subscribe to a specific channel. So if we took an example of my healthcare app, you might subscribe to a channel called, let's say the weather app, okay? You might subscribe to a channel called Dallas, so it's the Dallas weather. And when the app gets a notification that there's a thunderstorm or a tornado, like there's a thunderstorm outside at the moment, then it will push a message out saying, hey, thunderstorm warning for Dallas, and it pushes it to the Dallas channel. And because my apps are subscribed to the Dallas channel on the Firebase cloud messaging service that I'm using, it will then push down to the Dallas channel. That is only for your organization. So it's not everybody who's got a channel called Dallas Anywhere. It's only for the people that have got your special IDs and keys, which I can't show because otherwise you'd steal them and use my money up and things like that. But let's just take a quick look again at the code. So I'm going to share my screen again, and then we'll talk about this app. So this app is actually from Dave Nottage, and it's available on the web. I'll give you the links in a moment. He calls it Firebase Cloud Messaging Rebooted. That's because he has another example for version 11 of RAD Studio. This is version 12. And what you saw was that when the app starts, it goes to default manager. It subscribes to messages. Okay, and those are the messages that are event messages for the app. So restore, close, actual mobile app messages, not to do with the Fire Manager. It then adds some categories, and the categories are categories that is interesting because you can add categories to the messages coming down from the Google messaging place, and we then decide whether they're going to show some other settings. So these are the notification settings. If the show a banner, if it's in the foreground, if the app is still running, should I still show it? On message received, run the message received handler. When it started, come back and run that. Token received. Token is a device token. You saw in the video I blurred something out. That's because that's my individual device token. It's per app and unique to that device. It's to stop you being able to track mobile phones or cell phones around the internet. Only my app knows what that device is, but I don't want to show it because I didn't want you to do it. Once the device token is received, then it runs a token handler, and all it does is puts it into the memo box. And then when it receives a category, it does something with the category, and then it starts it. So first of all, let's look at the started handler. All that does is just says subscribe to the 30 for 30 topic, which is my organization's topic for the 30 for 30 webinars. Okay. The other thing was if we receive the device token, and this is a change to Dave's actually published code, I just changed this, it then stores that token in the token memo so that you can see the token. Actually, no, that is actually his code. I did a different version that didn't do that. And then the category handler, what it says is if there's a category, then whether the user responded to it or not, because there are various actions on whether you respond, approve or deny, and all the rest of it. And then the other one is on the message received handler, which is this is a function that's one of the Kastri many miscellaneous functions, which is it logs it to the operating system log. So there's an Android log that you can look at on the device, Android device manager, and he's storing the JSON that was received because the message that comes down from Google's message handler is JSON, and then he adds it to the memo. Okay, so fairly straightforward stuff. And again, now, couple of things that are unique to this program which are worth looking at. I'm just going to pin this because I want to not have to keep going backwards and forwards. First of all, there's a couple of interesting points. There are some, and Kastri's website explains this, okay, but one of the things it's got, which a lot of people may not be used to, is a thing called a build event. Okay, and what a build event is it's an arbitrary command. You can literally run any command that you wanted within reason. I don't think there are any restrictions, but you could, I suppose, remove the whole hard drive or something. But the build event is a command that runs. You can decide when you want to run it. You can execute it for various platforms. So you say if you're only doing the release. Now you might use this to code sign, for example. code sign your apps. Not necessarily on Android and iOS, because those are handled for you separately when you submit to the app stores. But what this does is actually runs another of Dave's tools, which merges part of your Android manifest into the default manifest that's created. Okay, and I know this might sound a little bit complicated for people who are not fully up on it, but it's a very good facility for patching up the necessary bits that you need to patch up for this to work. He explains all about it on the website, which I'll point you to. So that's number one. The second thing is the package name has to match the package for that I've set up for the project, as it's called, on the Google Cloud Messaging, the Firebase project. Okay, so it'll ask me for my package name, and my app has to have that packaging in order for it to work. Now, the default one that Dave had would work with Dave's settings, but for mine, it has to be this because that's how I've set it up. And by the way, you won't be able to authenticate against it, so don't even try, because there are some other things that you need to add. There is a services option, and I shouldn't have done that. Oh well, there's a cell, but I'll delete those. There's a services option that you can load that's got personal and private keys and things like that, and it allows you to authenticate that app properly so that you can send messages. It's not a service that's going to cost me money, so I suppose if someone sneaks away and does it now, they can cause me some problems, but I'm going to delete it as soon as I finish doing this stream. See why I record things now? So easy to do. And the other thing was the entitlement list. It must have this receive post notifications set up. Now, iOS is very, very similar, except you'll need to go to the Apple details on that, because I cannot show any of that without blurring everything out that and making it almost useless. But follow through the Apple's advice for APNS actually, Apple Push Notification Services. It's a similar thing, and it will work the same way. So what it does is associate your device with this push notification service in the background, and it works in exactly the same way. But instead of putting Google authentication in, you put in Apple authentication in. This is an Android app, so it does it the Android way, but Apple is a similar thing. It's just starting to thunder really heavily. Luckily, I have a noise cancelling mic, so you probably can't hear anything. So that's it. Very easy to do. And if I stop sharing for a second, actually, no, I want to continue sharing. And that is from the current slide. We're going to go through where I got these from and where you can get them from, because all of the things I've just shown you are available on internet. Let me set my camera off. Otherwise, it's going to look weird. Right, so where can you get those demos that I showed you? Well, the local direct notifications demo is actually an Embarcadero demo. You can get it. It's a long path name. RAD Studio, 12 demos, Object Pascal, multi-device samples, device sensors and services, Android notifications service demo. But I've made it nice and easy for you. So you just go to tinyurl.com/IB, that's my initials, 303 for 30 local. Ooh, messed that up, didn't I? Oh, well, that's the URL. That's where it's gone to. Let me just check that for a second. Make sure I've not done something really ridiculous. It may be that I've got that link wrong. Let me just check. No, that is the correct URL. I messed up. Sorry about that. It could have been shorter, couldn't it? Never mind. So that is the URL. My version is basically unchanged from the original. The actual code behind it works identically. All that I did was made mine look a little bit prettier, because I like my apps to look like proper apps, and also it's to show you what you can do on mobile. so that you know that your app will look the same on Android as it does on iOS. And there's very little difference in the code between the two. And that's the whole point about RAD Studios. With RAD Studio, you can create from one code base an app that works on iOS, an app that works on Android, Windows Desktop, Mac OS, and Linux. Not really with notifications, but most things, and it will look the same on those. So even despite the differences between Android and iOS, my app is going to look beautiful on both. And it's very easy to do. It's one of the great benefits of using RAD Studio. So my app is prettier, but it is otherwise functionally the same. The other thing that you saw me use in the video, and I'm going to show that video again maybe later, is the Push It app from Dave Nottage, and who really is the hero of today's webinar. I spoke to him yesterday. We were having some problems with Firebase, and both of us spent an hour trying to work out what on earth had gone wrong, because neither of us could get it working at one point. I don't know what it was. I must have clicked the wrong thing as I was going through the Firebase thing, but we couldn't get it to work. And he's like, well, it looks the same as mine. And then all of a sudden we spotted something different. I went, do you know what? I'm going to start from scratch again. Did it from scratch again, following these instructions. It worked the first time. The Push It app just really you load. It's got full instructions on the download anyway, but you load in a file, a JSON file that comes from the Firebase cloud messaging side of things. You load it into your push client. You pick whatever your topic is, and I chose 30 for 30, as you can see on the screenshot there. And then after that, you do what you like. So you can say test, or it could be Dallas weather or something like that. Title, thunderstorm warning or something like that. And then the body could be, there is a thunderstorm locally in the Dallas area. Please take cover and do not go outside and put up a fishing line or something. And that's what that does. The response, as you can see down at the bottom, in the very bottom panel there, if it comes back and says name and then project, blah, 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 that means it succeeded. If it doesn't succeed, you'll see the error message and it'll be obvious it didn't work. Trust me, I know, because for a good hour, I could not make the thing work. And where to get the demos for the other bit. For the FCM demo, that is go to Kastri, again from Dave Nottage, where you can also get that Push It app. Go to demos and then FCM rebooted, so Firebase cloud messaging rebooted, FCM base demo, and then I ran that one that says FCM base demo D12. That's all I did. I didn't do anything. Now I set it up properly, and I spoke to Dave about setting it up properly, but that's all I did. And then it worked, and it worked immediately. Simple as that. Now, I am going to put slides up for this again, because I've been very lapsed recently, because I'm doing all sorts of things at the moment. But I will be putting up the slides for this and explaining a bit more about what's going on. Let us go back to reality, so to speak. So that was all you needed to know, really. I'm just going to show you again how that app works for the demo app, the one where you are going via Firebase cloud messaging and then back down to the cell phone. Okay, no vocal on this, no audio, but just so you can recap after having seen what we've been through. So there you go. That is notifications in an app using Firebase cloud messaging, like that. Simple as anything. And got a couple of comments. Kastri is a good source of features to do everything we need on mobiles. I 100% agree with that. And I've got a QR code there. Kastri, I've only shown tiny little bit of it to show the notifications, but there is a lot more that Kastri does. Like the logging, for example, is really easy. It's cross-platform logging, and all sorts of other things like in-app purchases. I think that there's a few other things as well, like I think you can do subscriptions now. I can't remember whether he said he'd done that, but go there and read what it does, because believe me, it does everything. And if you need help on learning how to implement this, if you get stuck, because I did, and I'm the developer advocate, and I got stuck. Keep telling people, there are better programmers out there, but I guarantee if you join the Delphi Worlds Slack group, you'll be surrounded by people who know what they're talking about, and who are in the same boat as you, developing mobile apps with RAD Studio. Easiest way to develop a mobile app. It beats everything else out there. I've heard people talk about a few AI-based IDEs and things like that. Try them, and I get it. Some of them, great. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for AI if it works, but try them out and then come back to me, because the ones I played around with, I am an optimistic skeptic when it comes to AI. I think that we've got a long way to go before AI is a 100% ready to rock and roll, for sure. And I think that if you pick the right ones, Claude seems very good, by the way. But if you pick the right AI to help you, then, and Olama is another one, you can get some very, very good results, some specially tuned ones that are specific to coding on particularly Pascal and Delphi and Object Pascal. Then you can get some good results, but but a lot of them, I've seen them come up with answers that are just pure nonsense. And the trouble is that to err is human, to err really convincingly is AI. And that's the AI can produce a load of gibberish that looks like it really got it right, until you actually go ahead and implement it and then find it's nonsense. And until I never have that happen, or at least only have it happen once every 6 months, then you've got a long way to go before convincing me. Now, for some things, it's very good. The graphic that I showed you, brilliant. I will probably get it to do icons all the time. I apologize to my daughter, who's a professional graphic designer, that it's tough on her, because people like me who've got absolutely zero capabilities of drawing can produce really quite convincing graphics using AI. Writing is very good at summarizing the meaning of a document, helping you with grammar, making it more readable, and things like that. With code, it can correctly summarize code quite well, I believe, explain code. It can come up with classes very easily. I've seen it do that very convincingly, like a T object type class or a record. And some of it has been very convincing when you ask it to do something like, produce some form of communications protocol that operates over such and such. It will come and do it, and it's great. Malcolm Chain says, I managed to get Olama working in my ID. Good job, well done. Yes, Olama is offline, and a lot of people are saying it's very, very good once it's trained. So great. As I say, I'm an optimistic skeptic. I really am gung-ho for AI. I'm going to do some AI webinars soon, shortly, and I think that it's a very exciting innovation for technology. I think we're on the edge of something amazing happening. Will we be out of a job? No, probably not. Will our jobs change? Yes, that's going to happen for sure. In the same way that when I was working somewhere and everybody was writing out COBOL coding sheets by hand, and then young guys like me who could type, we overtook those guys that couldn't type like that overnight. And I think it's the same thing with AI. Those that aren't using AI in a few years' time will get left behind, and it will be the expectation that using AI. I think there's some jobs that rely, even maybe not my job presenting, because it requires some nuance, but maybe even what I'm doing could be better done with an AI. I don't know. That if it is, it is. But we're still on the edge of something wonderful happening. It's like having dial-up internet. We're in the dial-up internet stage at the moment with AI. But look where we are now. I'm moving. I actually get the keys to my new apartment this afternoon, and that apartment tomorrow they'll be installing a 2 gigabit fiber synchronous connection to that apartment. An apartment. One of the benefits of living in Dallas, obviously, but it's actually going to be Frisco. But compare that to dial-up, the days of dial-up. For those of you that are old enough to remember it, and now look at that. I've got a fiber connection that's 2 gigs. This one I'm talking about is 2 gig as well, but it's that's the difference between dial-up and 2 gig. We're in the dial-up phase of AI. Mark my words, and it's going to explode. Talking of which, and while we're on the subject, GDK are doing a tour around the US, and you'll probably get an email about it because we're going to email a few people as well because we said we would to them. But if you're interested at all in AI training, these guys are some of my tech partners are getting very, very well with Softicom, GDK, Aquasoft, and a few others as well. And there's loads of them. And in fact, we've had some new MVPs this week, actually. Peter, who was not on the chat today, but Peter Turtle was one of them, and another guy, Gabriel. And these tech partners, do a great job, I think, because they are teaching people how to use AI effectively to do various things. I know they use it in their company, but also how to incorporate AI into your apps as well. We're going to be talking more about that in the coming weeks. With my kind of level of engagement and honesty, I want to tell it like it is. I don't want to give you a fluffy sales pitch, about AI. I want to tell you what I think works, what we think has got some more work to do. That's the nicest way. But if you want to learn all about AI, go to that training. It's very, very interesting. They're all over the US, I think, at the moment for that. I can't remember all of them, but they're sitting out there. And whilst we're on the subject, from similar people, there's also a tour in Brazil, which is home to billions of programmers. There seem to be more Delphi people and C++ people in Brazil than the rest of the world put together. I swear they collect them up, put them in vans, and then drive them over to Brazil. But they're all out. I did say in Sao Paulo, mark my words, Brazil will be the next Silicon Valley, and the way things are going with the stock market, it may be sooner than I thought. But they're doing a very interesting tour. Wagner Landgraf is one of the people involved in that. A very great guy. Used to work at TMS quite a lot, and did Xdata and a few other things. But the Brazil events, Delphi Estrada, they call it, DelphiEstrada.com. And just to make sure that I have mentioned it, because I really want you to go, if you're in Europe and you can get there, go to the Delphi Summit. It is the biggest, or it's going to be, that's my hope, the biggest event in Europe for Delphi people for years. Last year was pretty good. It's held in a video games arena. The stage has got the wow factor. Everybody who's anybody in the Delphi world, Ray Konopka, for example, Marco Cantu, people are going to be there. They're going to do some sessions. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there both days. It's a 2-day event. You can choose to go to one or the other day, or all all the days. I'd recommend both if you can afford it. Um, come and hang out with me. Let's talk about Delphi and suggest what you'd like to see in some webinars and on our websites and stuff like that, because we're going to be producing some books and some more training courses on Delphi Academy, on the Embarcadero Academy, sorry, and learndelphi.org. And that's it. That's where we're at. What we've got some chat windows coming up. Richard Hatherall will be there at the Delphi Summit. I can't wait. Richard, I can. Oh, no, I can't wait either. Weird thing is, Richard and I are very good friends. We hang out. He helped me set up my Mac the other day. I got a new Mac, MacBook Air M4. Woo, fancy. Oh boy, it's eye-wateringly expensive, but it's worth it. And he helped me set it up. We're pretty good friends, but we actually don't meet up physically very often. And the one time that we do is at the Delphi Summit. So if you've got some questions about AWS, go to the Delphi Summit and meet Richard Atherall. He'll be there, and so will a lot of other people as well. Of a similar kind of nature, smart guys who know stuff. That's the way to look at it. And I'm in Denmark at the end of the month, and I'm in Germany in September, and I'm probably going to Brazil, I think, Spain, I think, as well in January. If you've got an event and you want me to come, I'll come. I'll go to them virtually. I did a Australian Delphi User Group event recently, virtually. I'll turn up as well. So hang out and we'll do stuff and talk about Delphi. Anyway, that was a brief overview of notifications. It's one of these things where I could show you all the setup for Firebase, but to be honest, it changes. And also, it's difficult for me to show the screenshots without having to blur out all the important stuff. And if I do that and blur everything out, the screenshots don't make a lot of sense anymore. So I'd recommend that you just follow through. There are lots of tutorials, and their website's pretty good. Same with Kastri. I can show you how to follow through and set things up with Kastri, but his site has got everything you need. There's a really good README document there that tells you all about it as well. So let other people know what I'm talking about. Do it. I've shown you how it works. It's that easy. It's very, very easy. Really simple to do. And RAD Studio does it better than anything out there. I think a few lines of code, but it's working. It's as simple as that. Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to go, and I will see you on Tuesday. On Tuesday, we're doing a weird one. If I remember correctly, let me have a look. I think I'm doing a slightly odd webinar. Oh. Yes. So the next webinar, which will be at the same time as today, is going to be how to create a spying app. It's not really a spying app. If you've ever seen any of these apps that monitor people's tasks that they're on, so to check how long someone's used Windows for example, let's say you've probably seen one of these apps that monitor kids' screen time, for example, how long they've been playing a game, or how long they've been doing their homework, or how long they've been on the news sites reading about tariffs or something. Then I'm going to show you on Tuesday, assuming the API still work, because I haven't checked, but they did, the ability to write some code that will do that will automatically detect what you're doing on the computer, which apps you're using, and for how long you're using them. And it will work for web pages. It will work for regular apps as well. I haven't written it yet, so I could be talking out of turn, and maybe I'll be doing something else on Tuesday. But I'm pretty certain it will work. I have a use for it myself, actually, as well. So that's what we're doing on Tuesday. And on Friday, we're going to be doing some stuff with AWS, where we create a back-end infrastructure for a social media expert. Boyan says, sadly, on Tuesday, we'll have a Visuino webinar at the same time on a different platform. Oh, no! Boyan will not be around on Tuesday. He's doing a Visuino webinar. Well, Boyan, good luck. And hope if you send me a link, I'll put the link up, because they can always watch me on a replay and go and see you live. So let me know. That's what your link is. Send it to me in the messaging or whatever. Well, you've got more than one way to get hold of me anyway now. All right. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for following along. I will see you on Tuesday. Have lots of fun and play with Firebase, cloud messaging. Google says it's free, so that's great. Not many things are free, are they?